Hello, lovely human. Today's 7-minute soundbite SMS is about emotions, and in particular, big emotions in little people. And when I say little people, of course, I mean children. One of the things that I enjoy about my bus journeys, and I've been taking the bus quite a lot these last several weeks, is that you get such a diverse mix of people traveling on it. You know, you have children with their parents, you know, young babies in their sort of buggies. You have elderly people who use the bus, and you know, they have their free bus passes, which means that they can go shopping on the bus and not pay anything for it. So you have a real mix of people, and most bus journeys, nothing particularly interesting happens. You know, people just get on the bus and they're doing their own thing. But every now and again, I have some interesting experiences and observations, and I want to share one with you which sort of ties into some of the other stuff that I notice in my work as a coach, and also an emotion code practitioner. So the other day, it's probably about earlier this week, I was on a bus during the day, and it was a different bus to the one I usually take, and it sort of went around the houses, and it picked up several elderly women in particular who were obviously getting on the bus to go and do their sort of daily shopping or whatever in a part of the town where there are lots of shops. And the bus had got quite busy. Now I was already sitting down and I was kind of squashed, and so it's difficult for me to get up to give up my seat. And there was this young mother with her little boy who was probably not even 2 years old. I mean, he could have been 2 or 3, but it was a little boy, and he was sitting next to her, so he was occupying one of the seats. And on these buses in London, you have some seats which are kind of priority seats, and they're there really so that if somebody who needs it more, you know, it could be an elderly person or someone who's pregnant, or someone, you know, someone who's just maybe more in need of sitting down, then the idea is that you give up that seat for that person. And now this young mom realized that there were some older people getting on, and so she decided to get her son she tried to pick him up and put him on her lap so he would give up that seat to an elderly lady. Now she was, of course, this older woman was very grateful, but this little boy was not at all happy. So he was bawling. He was not happy that his seat had been, you know, without his permission, you know, been given away. And he just howled and cried, and it was all very sweet and slightly amusing. And then, you know, the mother obviously was embarrassed because this child is making such a noise, and she was trying to explain to him, you know, that you know, we must give up our seat if somebody needs it more than us, and this lady really needed the seat. And then she went on to joke and says, and you don't have a ticket, you didn't pay for your ticket, so you don't get a seat. At which point this little boy's howls became even louder. I wanted a ticket. Basically, he said, I wanted a ticket. And obviously at this point, the whole bus was like listening to this, and people just giggled because it was so sweet. This little boy now saying, if I had a ticket, I would have had my seat. Anyway, where am I going with this? So this boy not only was he upset that his seat had been taken away from him without his permission, but now he was being treated as someone less than because he hadn't bought a ticket. Now, of course, children don't have to pay for their travel, and his mother was only joking and trying to make him feel better. And it made me think about how sometimes we look at children and we look at their emotions and we kind of think, oh, it's just a passing thing. But actually, young children, you know, for their size, their emotions are huge, and they feel them just as powerfully, if not more powerfully, than we do. I mean, we as adults have learned along the way some bad habits, you know, which some of them are good too, in how to control these emotions, how to in some cases suppress them, or to kind of reframe them. Whereas children are so pure and so kind of unfiltered, you know, they feel that emotion in its full intensity. The happy ending to this little story was that as they got closer to the bus stop that they were going to get off at, the mum said, "You press the buzzer for the bus driver to know that we wanted to stop." And suddenly this little boy stopped crying, and he was so excited, and he'd been given a very responsible job, and he was all smiles and pressed the buzzer several times to make sure that the bus driver would stop for them. And then they got off, and all his trauma from earlier was forgotten, and he was all smiles. And the reason I think this is important is because in my work, when I work with clients sometimes to help them release some stuckness, they're always amazed because some of the stuckness originated when they were really young children. They could have been 3 or 4. Sometimes they don't even remember what it was that caused that emotion to become trapped. And these can be big emotions like shame, humiliation, helplessness, lack of control. And these are very often felt because you're a child and the grown-up who is perhaps not being very nice to you or being a little bit, bossy or a bully. And sometimes you have teachers who are not very good to you. These emotions play big time. They become sort of a huge part of who we become as adults, and they can create havoc in later life. So my ending message here is that just because someone's a child, it doesn't mean they don't feel it. So let's all be a little bit more mindful and cut those children some slack. Sending you lots of love and have an amazing day. Bye for now.